Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining this virtual presentation of new top grade titles for the season. I'm Spencer Miller, and today I will be introducing you to exciting new titles from Canadian publishers in the middle grade category. Starting in nonfiction, our first title is Mad for Ads: How Advertising Gets and Stays in Our Heads, from Kids Can Press. It is written by Erica Fyvie and illustrated by Ian Turner. Despite being surrounded by thousands of ads every day, most people think advertising doesn't affect them. But in Mad for Ads, Erica Fyvie shows how advertising has a real effect on our thoughts, our feelings, and our sense of self. This fun and engaging image-filled book will teach students to speak the language of advertisers and decode the ads that surround them every day. One of the facts shared in the start of the book is that we see on average 3,000 advertisements every day. The information in this book is well organized into 7 detailed chapters, each attractively designed with colorful graphs, sidebars, and extra information. This book is an excellent tool to help develop vital media literacy skills that will help students to make smart choices. Our second nonfiction title is Govern Like a Girl from Second Story Press. It is written by Kate Graham. In Govern Like a Girl, Graham looks to celebrate the accomplishments of Canadian and Indigenous women in leadership in hopes of inspiring young women to lead. The book tells the stories of 13 women who rose to the top as first ministers in Canada. The profiles on each of these inspirational women are full of interesting details that paint a picture of how Canadian government works. Fascinating to me was while these women grew up in different parts of Canada, each with unique backgrounds, none of them were aspiring as children to become prime minister or premier. All of them did, however, start to make changes in their own communities from a young age. This book encourages readers to do the same, especially girls. The introduction says, "You don't need to change who you are to be in charge, and we need more people like you in government." It belongs on the shelves in any social studies classroom. Our final nonfiction title is The Disability Experience: Working Toward Belonging, from Orca Book Publishers. It's written by Hannah Laura Levitt and illustrated by Belle Withrich. This book demystifies the disability experience through open and honest conversations. Levitt, who herself is legally blind, shares some of her personal experiences alongside interviews of people with different kinds of disabilities. The book also explores disability culture, politics, and history while celebrating the triumphs and achievements of people with disabilities and sharing the powerful stories of those who are fighting for change. If I had to choose one word to describe this book, it would be comprehensive. The book is so full of good information. You can just turn to any page and you're going to find something interesting to read. Some of the sections that stood out to me were about disability in the LGBTQ community and depictions of disability in pop culture. I also read about the role of service dogs and how to read Braille. I love that the book ends with suggestions for non-disabled readers to advocate for people with disabilities. I know my middle year students love graphic novels, and I love them too because they can help introduce young readers to important conversations. Like in Sugar Falls, a residential school story from Highwater Press. This book is written by David A. Robertson and illustrated by Scott B. Henderson. This 10th anniversary edition is now in full color thanks to the coloring from Donovan Yasiuk. Sugar Falls is based on the true story of Betty Ross, elder from Cross Lake First Nation, telling her experience of being taken away to residential school at 8 years old, where she was forced to endure abuse and indignity. A young Betsy recalls the words her father spoke to her at home in Sugar Falls, words that gave her resilience, strength, and determination to survive. This edition includes a foreword from Senator Murray Sinclair, which states, "I hope that a new generation of readers like yourself can see that you are not just bearers of the burden of history, but beneficiaries of a new awareness. Once we collectively understand how things happened, we can join together, building a framework for the future that has become possible." Sugar Falls is a step on this journey. I feel grateful that books like this exist, that elders like Betty Ross are willing to share their stories with us, and that authors and illustrators like David Robertson and Scott Henderson give such time and care to their stories. These stories need to be heard in our classrooms. The next graphic title is Dusty Dreams and Troubled Waters, a story of the HMCS Sackville in the Battle of the Atlantic from Nimbus Publishing. It is written by Brian Bowman and illustrated by Richard Rednicki and Susan Took. This middle-grade graphic novel explores the Battle of the Atlantic from a young prairie boy's perspective. The story follows young Wally as he leaves the family farm on the prairies to pursue a daring career in the Navy, leaving love interest Winnie behind. This striking graphic novel is a high-stakes adventure, a love story, and an important historical lesson. It features meticulously detailed black and white drawings, an illustrated diagram of the Sackville, information on wartime propaganda, glossary, and an illustrated map. And finally, our last book is a work of historical fiction, My Indian, published by Breakwater Books, and written by Michelle Joe and Sheila O'Neill. In 1822, William Epps Cormack sought the expertise of a guide who could lead him across Newfoundland in search of the last remaining Beothuk camps on the island. In his journals, Cormack refers to his guide only as My Indian. Now, almost 200 years later, in rewriting the narrative of Cormack's journey from the perspective of his Mi'kmaq guide, Michelle Joe and Sheila O'Neill are reclaiming the story of Sylvester Joe. My Indian follows Sylvester Joe from his birth in what is now known as the Mi'kmaq First Nation, and early life in his community in his journey across the island with Cormack. Differences between Sylvester and Cormack portray the differences between Indigenous and European cultures and perspectives on the land and their relationship to other peoples. This work of reclaiming stories and histories is an important part of reconciliation. Studying this novel together in class will prompt many important questions, such as who gets to tell the stories of history, and how is history recorded? On behalf of the Association of Canadian Publishers, thanks for watching. We love hearing from you. Visit us online for more top-grade titles and Canadian book content, and thank you to Ontario Creates for your continued support of the program.